everybody. Welcome to the Training, Learning, and Development community. Thanks for joining us today, Thursday, August 11th, and we're here with another episode in our new series, Success Stories. This one in specifically is about teacher to trainer, and our guest today is Jennifer Neydon. Did I pronounce that right? I didn't even ask you beforehand.
It's Neydon, but that's
Neydon.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer Neydon. Yeah, Jennifer, I have spoken before. We actually talked about doing just needed some feedback on producing a hybrid event, and so Jennifer has been active in the training, learning, and development community for I think probably like the last year. I believe it was last year that we spoke, and almost 2 decades as a teacher, now turned into trainer, working for Sidecar, and is working on finishing up her master's at the University of Central Florida. We're going to talk to Jennifer about her journey so far. So relatively new in the instructional design space, but we've already been chatting in the green room about sort of her background in education. It's just really a fascinating story. I do want to mention first, like one of the reasons why we're doing this series is because we have an event at the end of the month. It's called Transitioning to Learning and Development. I call it T2LD. You can go to T2LD.com if you want to get more information. It's a free event. Producing it with a bunch of volunteers that have come in. Jennifer is one of them that is helping us build this thing out. And speakers so far we have are just absolutely fantastic. Very excited about it. Hopefully we're getting the program filled out. It should be done any day now, and it's going to be great. So register for that. It's free. If you're somebody that is transitioning to L&D, not necessarily even a teacher. I know a lot of marketers that do it. A lot of folks from UX, UI, from all different parts of an organization are looking into becoming instructional designers. This is a great event to learn more about what that takes. And so with this series in particular, this is helping maybe TLDC folks understand what it takes to be an instructional designer, or what that path might be like. So yeah, we're going to talk to Jennifer about that now. Let me just give a shout out to Kitsal, to Karen, to Jennifer, Stacy, Amanda. Thanks for joining us this morning. And so with that, let's get into some of these questions, Jennifer.
Yeah, so let's do it.
I just want to start out. You were you were in the elementary school system for almost 20 years, right? I think it was 17 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. Why did you decide you wanted to be a teacher to begin with?
Oh, I think that was something that was just always, I just kind of knew, like I always enjoyed being, around kids, and I always liked playing teacher and helping them learn new things. Growing up, I taught swimming lessons, and just to see that progression for a little kid who didn't even like to get into the swimming pool. And, by the end of our 2-week, 3-week sessions, I still remember she literally looked at her dad and said, "Watch what I can do," and jumped into the pool. And the father's face of just, what did you do? How did you get my child to do this? Who we literally had to bribe to get into the pool the first day, so to just see that natural progression and to understand, just the most amazing things amaze children, and especially in the elementary age, you can teach them something and show them something, and they you just see the sparks and the light bulbs start lighting up, and they continue to ask, well, what about this? And how about if you did it this way? And just that natural curiosity and that natural wanting to know more, and even their natural being inventors. It's just always something that I enjoyed. I graduated from Southeastern Louisiana University, and I'm going to age myself, in 2003 in January, or in December. So when where I wanted to teach at the time in Louisiana was very hard to get into. It was a very hard market. So I applied for an internship position with a wonderful company, the Walt Disney World Company, and I was a youth education series facilitator. So I just continued my education and used my education degree. And I basically got paid to talk and ride rides and say, let's learn about the science of why Space Mountain does what it does, and talk about this. And it was just always fun. I always just had fun. So
Yeah.
I knew that if I was going to have fun, then this is what I needed to do.
So from a very early age, you knew that you just wanted to be a teacher pretty much.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. But then when did you decide to shift your career? When did you decide to make the change and move towards L&D?
I think once I realized I would probably say around year 7 or 8, and teaching, that I was like, I don't know where else I can go. Like once you're a teacher, like there's great opportunities if you want to get into leadership, but to be in leadership means that one day you're going to be an assistant principal or a principal. And that was just something that I never wanted to do. I didn't, that's it's a really hard job, and that's amazing. There are amazing administrators out there, but I just knew that that wasn't going to be me. So I knew I wanted to continue my learning. So I started looking, well, could I work for a curriculum company, or could I, how could I still use my education and my education background to, could I be a facilitator or a trainer that worked for, something corporate or something like that. And then the more I got into it, I just the more research and talking to people, that's where I found instructional design. And a lot of people still are kind of like, well, what in the world's an instructional designer? So it's not something that's out there. I mean, it's coming more prevalent, but it's still kind of a new thing.
So you knew about learning and development prior to making the change. You knew that there was this place that you could potentially go to.
I did. Yeah. It took research on my end, but I was like, if there's somebody to train, there's always trainers out there. So how can I go and be a part of that?
Okay. And so we talked earlier, you were saying that a couple years ago, I guess it was in 2020, you decided to go after your master's at University of Central Florida. What's that experience been like?
It's been amazing and really challenging, to be honest. Like, I think another reason why I was a little hesitant is because I never really liked homework, but then as a teacher, I hated assigning homework because homework's just not fun. So, but the classes have been so challenging and so amazing, and I'm able to take what I've learned and apply it right there, and apply it within my position that I have now, or see, okay, well, how I can create those connections of, oh, I used to do this here, and this is exactly what that means. So it's one of those, I really enjoy the program, and I love the different options that they have. It's not like first you take this class, then you have to take this class. Like there are core elements that you must take, but there's so many different electives that I'm able to choose from. Like I took a class on creating simulations, and that I didn't even like, it just was kind of mind blowing to me that there's so much out there, that being an instructional designer, you can have there's so many different options or so many different, pots you could put your hand in.
Definitely. And I think that, new instructional designers may not realize that there are just a variety of roles that you can take on. And of course, and as so many people know, you could also kind of be those one person teams where you kind of have to do everything, which is, sometimes not so great, because you sort of just get handed all of the training responsibilities, and that can be a real pain. Now, when you decided to go after your master's degree and go that route, what prompted you to go to University of Central Florida, or why not, go certificate program or something else? Why did you decide to go after your master's?
Well, the biggest person that pushed me to do my master's was my husband. And he was like, he has a very big respect for having those degrees. And And I just thought, like, if I'm going to learn about instructional design, I need to know about it, like, and not just know, like, like a where I can just go to a class for a half a day and then think I know everything, because you're not. And I will say, even I'm about to graduate and I still don't know everything, because technology is always changing.
Mhm.
um, I really, to be honest, like, I liked that UCF, they offer certificates within their programs, and they offer, you can get a master's degree, or you can to continue on and get a doctorate in instructional design. So I like the fact with UCF that there were different levels, and that they were very vested within the education. So
Right, right.
that's why I chose them.
Did you at all like see out there like um boot camps, or sort of I mean, did anything like that lure you at all, like just sort of like the like I mentioned earlier, just how there are programs out there where you can be an instructional designer in 2 weeks kind of deal. Anything like that come across your radar that you had looked at?
I saw one that came across my Facebook feed one
Mhm.
time, and I was like, okay, well, let me sign up. But then it just, in a way, I just felt like it was very, like, cookie cutter. Like, first
Right.
you do this, then you do this, and then next you'll go here. And I thought, well, but there's so much more to learning and development than, you know, you don't always have to do it one way, and especially, like, working with different clients or different subject matter experts or whatever. Like, sometimes you want to approach your design for a course a
Mhm.
little bit differently. Like, sometimes, right now, like, a big thing is that micro learning, and you can't do 1,000 things in one module. Like, you have to keep it simple. It's one topic, one objective, and you don't want to inundate people because they're probably learning on their cell phone. So I think just knowing that, and knowing the theory behind instructional design, and just how much it really is rooted within education,
Mhm.
really, that's why I chose the master's route over going to a boot camp or something. Now,
Right.
I would love to add certificates to my master's, but I would definitely like going, like, because there are great certificate programs out there, but
Mhm.
I think just knowing that takes research on your fact of, like, where are you going and where are you getting this from.
Right. Is there anything in particular that kind of surprised you going from being a teacher and then going into L&D? Is especially in regards to your new role at Sidecar?
I think the biggest thing that surprised me was the freedom that I had.
Mhm.
Sidecar, we're a remote team, and we're very diverse remote. There's one of us in New Orleans, one of us in Mississippi. I'm in North Carolina. We have people in Texas, and we have such freedom to control our day and our schedule. And while we all have projects, it's we have that accountability, but I'm not on a set schedule. Like, I was so used to tardy bell is 8:45, and then you
Uh-huh.
start teaching math, and then you start teaching science.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and I never got to choose the schedule. So that part to me was the biggest, like, oh, well, if it works better for me to do this at in the morning, and then I can, if I need to run to go, take care of life, then I can, which is kind of, it's really kind of amazing. Like, it feels way more like I'm an adult, even though I was an adult as an educator. So,
Right. I think a part of that is kind of the remote, working from home experience altogether, right? It's like we've all had to sort of make that adjustment, especially for those of us that are new to it, sort of like realizing, yeah, there's this freedom there, but you need to manage it and make sure that you're not like, taking it for granted, and you still need to be productive and have that kind of focus. But yeah, it's definitely been a different thing. And so what do you think, like, over this last year, what are some of the more important lessons that you've learned actively working as an instructional designer? Is there anything like, basically, I'm looking for an answer that might be able to share some I don't know, like tips to new instructional designers. If there's anything specific that kind of that stands out to you, this is what I learned in the past year that's kind of important.
I would say one of the biggest things that I learned and kind of goes back to the schedule is time management,
Mm,
like just understanding. And like you said, like we all like, especially within the remote world, understanding that, you have deadlines and creating deadlines and making sure you're holding yourself accountable to it. The other thing that another big learning thing is for me is that you can't be afraid to get out there and ask. I work for Sidecar, we're a startup. So I don't have it's me. I'm the instructional designer. That's it. Like, well, I'm on a content team, but when it comes to instructional design, that's me, myself, and I. So, when I'm looking for subject matter experts or when I need help with something, like just to get out there and to network was such a scary thing. But within this community, everyone wants to help each other, and there's
mhm,
no one that's going to say, well, you should already know this. it's
mhm,
it's okay, well, what can I do, how can I help you? But on the flip side of that, you can't just walk into a meeting or request help and go, okay, so tell me everything. You have to be very specific about what you're asking and what you want. And so that goes to another lesson of just about how to prepare and just being very specific about your questions. So I think that was the biggest lesson that I've learned.
interesting. I'm curious, just for a startup, first year, how much of your job is like, say, writing? How much of it is like graphic design? Since you're kind of doing everything, how much of it is storyboarding or curriculum production or anything like that?
So I would say about 75% of my job is writing. Now, it could be writing like webinar descriptions or boot camp descriptions or courses. Um, but I would say about 75% of it is the writing part of it. Fortunately, we have a wonderful graphic designer, so I do not have to do any of that graphic design, but I do have to understand the aspect of, I can't let my visualization overpower the written content or vice versa. So that I really had to kind of to look around and to learn a lot about, just because you can't just all be pictures. But
Mhm.
but then the rest of it, a lot of it is, especially like with the webinars and our boot camps that we offer, um, it's a lot of speaker management and project management, which is, you know, it's, it sounds hard. It sounds hard, but it's not,
Mhm.
but it is. Like, I don't, what I mean? Like, sometimes you're just like, it's a lot of follow up with other people and helping the project move along.
Right, right. I think it feels like that a lot. That's pretty typical, especially for a startup. I would think the project management piece is just really kind of primary, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're really doing that and a lot of writing. So that's pretty interesting, and I think that's kind of to be expected for a lot of people that might be doing kind of entry level ID. Anything in particular that was just like a really big adjustment for you that you had to make going from teacher to instructional designer?
Um, a big adjustment. Well, because I had taught for so long, like I, I, I felt like I knew a lot, and being a teacher and being in the education world, and then coming into the business side of things, I would go into meetings and people would say things and I would be like, what in the world are you talking about? Because it's just, I feel like some of the biggest learning, like it was learning the vernacular
Yes.
of the business world. And even the sidecar, we support nonprofits and associations. So the nonprofit and association world is even a little bit, just has a little bit extra spin on top of the business world. So it's something that it um, just learning what everybody was talking about. I think for the first month, I know I was like, I need, Google was my best friend.
Yeah, you know that
So,
that's interesting because I feel like that was one of the biggest topics or one of the most popular topics. I don't know if you were in on that when we were talking about with the event, was that vernacular, going to the terms, like going from, basically the when you're talking as a teacher versus talking for an organization or for a business, just that change. And I do know, I think we're going to have at least two sessions at the event, at this month's event, where we're going to be talking specifically about that, moving from the academic side of thinking to the business side of thinking, which really is, it can be a pretty significant challenge. So any mistakes you think that you made when you were sort of, anything you wish you'd maybe done a little differently when you were making decisions about maybe getting your degree or moving into this space? Um, Anything like
oh,
that you can share?
yeah, I mean, I probably make mistakes every day, but I think the biggest thing that for me getting my within my master's and my master's program, if I could go back and rewind and reselect some of my elective courses, I
Mm,
would. And I
okay.
definitely would, just because of how much writing I do. I would take more courses on writing. And I know that the world is moving away from that technical writing and more building in the storytelling part of it. But, my writing was spent for 18 years with kindergarten through fifth graders, and
Uh-huh.
and writing, while you want, your writing to be around the seventh or eighth grade level, you don't it's not the same as if you're teaching a second grader how to put a comma in a series. It's a
Right.
little bit different. So I think on that aspect, I think I would have focused a little bit more on the writing part of it. And
Mhm.
um but I also think I would have just asked, not be afraid to ask questions. Like, I know, even like within my first month, like I sat in our morning huddles every morning going, I don't know what this is talking about, but I was too afraid to ask that question because I didn't want people to think that, well, Jennifer doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So just understanding that it's okay to ask those questions and to go for that extra support and extra guidance, because
Yeah.
everybody wants you to be successful.
Yeah, no, I can totally imagine that. That's great advice. And just a quick plug for tomorrow. Actually, I've got Kim Lindsay as a guest tomorrow, same time, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 Eastern, and she's going to be talking about writing for instructional design, more specifically for like shop floor or like the warehouse floor workers, for people maybe like working the assembly line, that type of thing, writing for those folks, which is something that I've actually done in the past. So I'm excited to have her on tomorrow. So yeah, just a quick plug there. Now what's so specifically like your daily schedule? New instructional designer for a startup. What's that look like for you?
So every morning we have morning huddle. So we have a 10 o'clock my time, I'm Eastern. So a 10 o'clock meeting. I usually am logged on once I get my son to school or camp or whatever. And I'm usually logged on around 8. And from 8 to 10, I take care of kind of my more, just my more administrative stuff, making sure like I've clicked my boxes for my speakers on my project management side of it. And then right now we're building a new website for Sidecar, which is really kind of amazing. But I'm taking all of the courses that I inherited and I am transitioning them into Articulate 360. So I
Ooh.
am to yeah. So we're taking courses in our LMS that is not so great, not so hot, but we're making it into more force, more compliance. So which is, I'm able to make it more interactive, and I'm able to kind of put my own spin on it, and
Mhm.
and just really have fun. So the majority of my day is doing that. And a lot of the times within my courses, I have to do a little bit extra research, because um, some of the some of the things that I just feel like, well, it's missing this piece, or where's the why, or
Mhm.
how do we apply this? So a lot of within my transitioning, I do a lot of research too.
Yeah.
And then I'm also developing a course for our new LMS on just learning about what in the world is Web3. So I'm doing a lot of research on Web3 and blockchain and cryptocurrency because before we started talking about it, I didn't know what Web3 was. So, you just got to learn it. But
Wow, that's
I,
great. That's a lot of fun.
yeah.
That's cool. That's neat. I'll send you some links on Web3.
Oh,
I
yeah.
work for a company, O'Reilly, that has some great sort of opinions about Web3. So let me send those to you so you
Yeah.
can have them.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be great. And
yeah.
I've met some really great people like with that. Like I interviewed he worked his name was Tim Whitaker and he worked for News Story and they're a nonprofit that they not all of their fundraising, but they set up an NFT and that's how they did some of their fundraising to help build homes in El Salvador and just
Hmm.
how nonprofits and associations can apply this and this new technology and bring it to their members, which I think is, really kind of amazing.
So let me ask you this: just how satisfying has the change been for you from going from teacher to trainer? Has it been what you expected? You had mentioned earlier that you do miss, like, the kids, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But overall, I mean, how are you feeling about it?
I feel like I wish I would have done this 10 years ago, to be
Mm,
very honest. Like, and I loved being a teacher. I loved my coworkers. I loved my students that I had, and I feel like in any job that you have, there's always going to be that one task that it's not your favorite. For me, it was grading papers, but you still got to do it. It's just one of those things you have to do. But I can't tell you in this past year how many times, and now I do work from home, but I can't tell you how many times this past year that I have brought work home or worked outside of my hours. And then just the fact that I'm able to kind of just close my computer and go spend that time with my family has been amazing. Teachers go above and beyond all the time, but there were so many times that I was, you know, take I felt like once I had my son, I was taking time away from bath time or bedtime or dinner time because I had to answer a parent email or I had to finish getting a project ready or finish getting my data ready for my for a data meeting and my planning time got taken away from me the day before. So I didn't have that time within the day. So but to have just to have that, it's almost like a big weight was taken off of my shoulders.
wow. Wow, that's interesting. I love hearing that for you personally, but it's also really hard to hear just as a parent with a second grader, like just thinking about what, potentially his teachers are going through, so
No, and
it's
I
it's
totally agree with that. Like it's just one of those things like I'm so excited for my son to start so I can go to that teacher and say, what can I help you with? Like
yeah,
what can I do for you that, let me help you, let me help you. Or even if you don't want help, then what's your favorite Starbucks? Because I can get you that every Friday, or
right.
something just to, because teachers do so much. And it's just one of those things that I just want to appreciate.
Yeah, totally. Last question. What's your future goals look like? Do you have anything planned?
So my goal right there in the reach is I will graduate with my master's in December. So that's
Congratulations.
let's finish. Let's get that last semester done. And I think I want to continue learning. I really understanding like what project management is and how can I apply that within the instructional design space. And I really would love to learn about graphic design. Like what our graphic designer does is just amazing and beautiful. And to know that she creates that is so I just want to learn about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Excellent. Jennifer, thank you so much for spending time today. It's these are really, I don't know, I just learned a whole bunch from these conversations. I mean, we had Devin last week and just talking to you this week. I think that you sharing your knowledge is just really really helpful, even for somebody like me that I'm not even a practicing instructional designer, but I'm learning a lot about your background and about the reason you made these changes, and sort of what the lessons learned, and it's so important. I'm hoping that other people can take advantage of what you've learned as well. And yeah, like Amanda appreciates your conversation. So Jennifer, thanks so much. Everybody, T2LD, let me paste that in chat here, www.t2ld.com. If you want to sign up for that at the end of the month, it's free. And I think we're just going to have some great sessions on transitioning teachers, just helping you out to figure out whether or not instructional design is the right choice for you. And Jennifer, thanks again. And everybody, will have more of these set up. Don't forget to register tomorrow for Kim talking about writing for instructional design and shop floor workers. And with that, I'm going to close it out. Thanks again, Jennifer.
Bye. Thank
All right.
you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.